Only messed one of them up bad, and it was the craziest one. So, and we figured that one out. Did y'all have questions about this thing?
Did you say this related to Judo randori or Aikido randori?
Yes.
Both?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, as JW, somebody asked him about something about the difference between Aikido and Judo, and he's like, aren't they the same thing? And, we're forever preaching that they're the same thing, but they're sort of not, but they really are, but they're sort of not. I think this is an interesting exercise because you're doing a lot of Aikido ideas, but you're doing them in Judo space, right, or in a Judo context, or you're doing a bunch of Judo tactical or technical stuff, but you're doing it in a more separated space. So this thing really is an exploration of the space between Tomiki Aikido and Kodokan Judo, in my opinion. They say that Tomiki at least briefly thought about calling this art Hamari Judo, separated Judo, because it really is, but it's sort of not. And that really but sort of, but really but sort of thing is what makes Ju-no-kata kind of interesting and vague and rich and fun. Now, that's sort of a roundabout to your question. You asked, what does this have to do with randori? Kano said in his memoirs, and Fukuda Sensei says in her book that Kano said, that this thing was meant to be about practical randori knowledge and delivering practical randori knowledge to groups of beginners that are too large to handle in randori. So what are the, maybe I'll answer you with a question. What are the recurring themes that we saw, the things that happened over and over and over in every technique? We controlled slack, and the guy that won controlled slack in both guys' bodies. And in some of the techniques, Uke would get in a bind and try to create some slack, and Tori would take it up so that he won. Some of the techniques, this thing, Uke tried to bind you and take out all the space, and you rolled around it and created more slack. All right, so what else came up? Yielding. Okay, and a particular kind of yielding, right? We said that when he's pushing and I just let him go, that's yielding, but that's lame because now I've lost him. All right, a cooler kind of yielding is this sort of yielding. All right. I was giving way to him, but I was giving him feedback the whole time to kind of draw him into to wanting to continue. There's no telling how you're going to respond to that.
Right.
Here, I'm letting you think that you're winning. You're winning, right? You're the boss here. Come on. I'm giving way. You're pushing me down.
Yeah, but I'm out in front.
All right, so that kind of yielding, and learning to do that kind of yielding from weird places, like he's pushing on my shoulder, pushing on my, yeah. Oh, look, now he's upside down and backwards pushing me. That's kind of stupid, right? So, I mean, who would ever attack somebody like this? But it happens all the time. So, controlling slack and yielding, those are practical randori things. What else shows up in this exercise? Over and over again.
Left hip throw.
Left hip throw. So trying a wide technical range is classically associated with classical Kodokan Judo, as opposed to having 3 throws that you know how to murderize everybody with. A wide technical range, and that's illustrated by the left hip throws, because nobody practices left hip throws, but all the hip throws in this kata are left-sided, so you get some pliability, some flexibility of the strategies or the tactics that you can use to bust somebody. What else? There's bound to be more threads running through that thing.
You get to try the same technique on a person when they done it.
Oh yeah, both guys are learning at the same time. It's a mutual thing. So randori is not about me getting out here and busting the white belt for 20 minutes, and then the higher ranked guy than me getting out here and busting me for 20 minutes. We're both mutually stimulating and benefiting each other in randori, just like we are in this kata. Cool, y'all are teaching me some stuff. What else is common amongst the techniques here?
Extreme off balance.
It's about off balance and taking up space. There's a lot of ariminages, especially in the end of this thing, where you distort or destroy his posture, and then it's about control. That's a thread.
There's no way for me, once you got me to the final spot, I can't move.
Right?
I think on most all of them, I can't recall any that you could actually move.
Rise and fall.
It's about rise and fall. It's about control, where in the sense of control of your own power. If you can't control your power, you can't modulate it to where you use it maximally efficiently. That's that Mississippi grammar. Maximally efficiently. That still sounds wrong. But
That's just the way it is.
huh?
That's just the way it is.
If you apply so much power to this guy on the off balance, for instance, that you throw him through the window with arms and legs doing this, then there's no way that you can get your desired effect on him unless it was to throw him through the window. Right? If you wanted to control this guy into the ground and do something moderate and jiu-jitsu-ish to him, then you failed by blasting him. And we saw that with the stick. If you put the fulcrum so far below the sweet spot that he spins and busts his head, that lacked control, although it was a cool throw. If you put the fulcrum, it's also about experimenting, looking for the sweet spot, running the experiment over and over again, which is randori. Randori is edge. Randori is about doing the thing a million times so that you can see the variations and fluctuations and weirdnesses. All right, so you run the experiment over and over and over and over, and the edge, randori is about, in a lot of senses, a lot of times, the way that we like to play it, randori is about placing the guy on the edge and seeing what he does, and then placing him on the edge, and when he reacts to that, you place him on the edge, and then you place him on the edge. This kata, or this exercise, is about taking the guy with you and both of you looking over the edge a million times to see what's over there. All right. What else?
I know there's a difference when you have a circuit that's going over and over again, and then the subtle change from one position
Oh, yeah.
to another changes the difference up so that you get the advantage of getting the difference.
Floaty hands,
Yeah.
changing contact points. So when you first look at Ju-no-kata, I think it's because we're American and because we're somewhat vigorous and we like to throw people down, and that's how you do competition judo. I think it's easy to look at this thing and say, Ju-no-kata is stupid. It doesn't have anything to do with randori. But then after you actually honestly look at the thing and play with it for a while. I mean, we've only done it for 6 hours, and here we've come up with a dozen things that Ju-no-kata illustrates for relative beginners, practical to randori. That's kind of cool, isn't it?
Very cool.
Well, y'all are amazing teachers. Y'all have taught me a lot this weekend.
I noticed that once you get a hand on them, that pretty much all of them you can do with your eyes closed because you can kind of feel where they're.
It's all
where they're at,
tactile.
where it's going.
That's right. It's all tactile. What else?
I can see the benefit for beginners and more experienced people alike because you're going into a lot of weird things, a lot of weird turns, and putting yourself in a lot of weird positions and moving in a different way
Right.
than you're really used to. So the more we did this, the more repetitions we did, the more comfortable I got turning in those circles
Right?
and doing different things. So I think that's really beneficial as well.
There's a,
It's probably, I'm sorry.
hold that thought so that I don't lose this one. Because I'm sure they're both kind of cool. But there's this tendency, like when we're doing hand randori, I want to get him off balance and then I want to smear him so that he doesn't get me. And then and we start over and we do some hand randori and I smear him so that he doesn't do me. And every opportunity I get, I set him down so that I end the thing. Well, ending the thing, being so overwhelmingly concerned with the martial practical application of the thing that you set the guy down every opportunity you get, ends the learning. And you have to stand back up and fix your gi and take a breath and take a drink and start over. And you waste all this time. Whereas when Ju-no-kata, it's kind of nice that it's not overtly practical, right? Because if we were worried about practical things, then we wouldn't ever get to explore this crazy thing, right? Because the practical response to that is deflect it and throw him over that guy's head, all right? So instead of ending the thing every chance you get, plus when you get into that sort of game, Nick can end me every step I take, so I can learn some ukemi, but this thing is about a mutual benefit.
I'm going to say that quite often there seems to be a point at which you remove all of the space between the two partners, and you almost merge merge the two of you into the same structure. And the guy who sort of wins is the guy whose structure is the one that didn't get defeated in the corporate structure.
Right?
If that makes any sense. It's probably similar to the taking all the slack out, or part of taking all the slack out. Taking all the slack out pulls itself inside into a same structure for a little bit.
That's right. You take out all the slack and you enter, as in the Aiki entering concept. Spearing through the guy or smashing into him, entering. That's right. All right. Have y'all had enough of that
Let's see,
for today?
1 or 2 demos? Anybody feel like
You want to do it?
either, maybe you guys or somebody, whoever feels like they're up for it.
I'm not. My brain is kind of scattered, so we saw evidence of that a while ago. I think if I had to do 15 of these things in a row right now, I'd be jellified in the head.
Make a comment. The other thing it seems like is you put yourself in a more vulnerable position to gain. I mean, normally we're not going to be turning our backs on the guy.
That's
just
right.
To get out from under. We seem
That's
to
right.
do that a lot.
You see that in Aikido, and that bothers a lot of beginners when you start doing release 5 and you turn your back on him. And you realize, crikey, he's behind me, and you spaz out, and then he grabs you. Whereas if you had just flowed through that position, then however many times out of 10, he doesn't grab you before you flow out of there.
It doesn't really give him any control.
Right.
I think
That's right. There's an interesting practice that was invented by a Aikido teacher in New York called contact improv. And they consider it a form of dance. But what it is randori minus all martial, practical considerations. All right, so we're not going to worry about him stabbing me in the eye or doing a technique or getting behind or whatever. All right, we just put our hands up, and I feel pressure, so I move that way. And we move into whatever positions. The only rule is you stay in contact with the guy. Okay? So there's lots of places here that you could do some sort of martial stuff to him. Right? And the guys that get into contact improv will like fly the guy over their shoulders and roll them down the leg and all sorts of. It's an experimentation of every possible conceivable crazy place you could go. All right. Now, when you start, if you were to start building Aiki Randori out of that, then you could say, here we go again. But anytime you get a chance to push me in the face, that's cool. All right? So now we've got all the same constraints. The constraints being stay in contact and stay in motion. But now we have this thing. All right? I don't care that he almost got Wakigatami, because that's not part of the game that we're playing. We're playing push face or move. All right? And then you could add another thing. We could add Wakigatami to where if you get that thing, then do it. Or if you get face, do it. Or else move. All right? So you could build the thing up from there. This is kind of rambling and around the world, but that relates to Ju-no-kata in my mind. Does that make sense? In a similar way to how Ju-no-kata relates to Randori. All right. We're smoked. Let's circle up.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's always
Wonderful stuff.
It's always an amazing thing. What's behind you there.
And we have fun. Come on, man.
That's right.
I like that. All one big thing.
Spectators, every kind of tater.
Hey, thank you all very much for being here. Thank you, Pat. It's been awesome. And bravo, everybody.
Thank y'all. It's a real special place here. It's always a real empowering thing to get to preach to y'all. Even though y'all are my heroes from 30 years back. From 20 years back. I hadn't been in it 30 years. But y'all have been my heroes for 30 years, 20 years. And now I get to come and share what I've been working on for 15 or 20 years. And it's kind of empowering to me to feel like I could benefit y'all. Thank you.
You deserve it.